Greetings, everyone. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. This message is to ADOS brothers and sisters. Hey, guys, I don't know if you're paying attention to the debates, the Democratic debates that are happening right now, or last week. Let me be exact, in Atlanta. But if you're noticing, they're not talking about our concerns. I'm talking about ADS concerns as regards to what we're asking of them in terms of soliciting our votes for the presidency of the United States. If you are paying any attention, they're conveniently, guys, ignoring us. They're talking about everything from Medicare to all to taxing the rich, all of these other programs that at the end of the day are not going to change anything for us. We asked about reparations. We told them that our needs would be met if they're supporting us with reparations. And as you can see, they have clearly, after some early questionings, some of our people showing up, to my ADOS people showing up and questioning them, we hearing everything about, we're not cutting any check or what check, I'm not going to do anything for all black people, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, to Bernie Sanders, well, I'm not going to do anything just for black people, although he did a whole bunch of things for the so-called Jewish people, to Joe Biden, jumping up, claiming that if you heard some of the snippets from the last election, how that, black people have always been in his corner. ADOS and black people has always been in his corner, and he is the Democrat candidate of choice for black people. And he used former President Obama to justify that. Now, this is something that is very, very not only manipulative, but it's quite frankly, it's a lie. Obama chose Biden, just so that you guys have context around, who is Joe Biden? Joe Biden is a Dixiecrat. Joe Biden, the same one who pushed the crime bill, to lock up our sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, parents, some of us, all right? The same person who came up with, that bill to lock them up. We all saw those videos of him. Joe Biden is the same person in the early 70s, guys, who spoke against desegregating of schools. Not that benefited us, but he was a very big advocate for the Southern governors, the Southern senators, and all the Southern politicians who were in favor of segregation. They did not want to integrate their schools with our children. He did not want to be bused with our kids. In other words, he's a white supremacist, a Dixiecrat. But he's claiming or holding on to former President Obama's coattail to try to justify that somehow or another Obama never would have chosen him as a running mate if he was harboring, bigotry. Yet you could hear the man in many of his past speeches, you could hear the vitriol in his voice, the bitterness in his voice towards us, talking about his blonde-haired daughters and sons and how that, he doesn't care, how our kids were affected by crack cocaine and drugs. It doesn't matter, if they did it, talking about, whites and those who are pushing the drugs in our communities. In other words, making the drugs available for our communities. He didn't care how it got there, what happened, and why it happened. Lock them up. That was his attitude. But now he's saying, oh, somehow we all love him. But here's the truth of it. Obama put Biden on his ticket because Obama knew, as a black man, so-called black man, that is no way he would be able to get Southern support unless he had a Southerner on his ticket. Not only a Southerner on his ticket as vice president, but a Southerner that had a background of supporting, segregation. That's correct. So that was intentional. So Obama manipulated us as well, because what Obama did was just brought in, his Trojan horse, Joe Biden, so that he could get the Southern white vote. That's why when Obama got in office, he didn't do a damn thing for us. He was no different than what you hear Kamala Harris talking about, what you hear Cory Booker talking about, Patrick Duvall, who'll be talking about it pretty soon, because he's a corporateist. Let me give you a little history about Duvall, just so you know. back when Texaco was discriminating against our people. He filed a class action suit against Texaco. Sounds good, right? But did you know that later on he joined Texaco as one of their counsels, and he gave them a bargain in terms of the lawsuit? Yeah, it was millions of dollars that they paid. But those millions of dollars was nowhere near what they should have paid for all of the black business that they had been getting years and years, yet discriminating against black people. So Duvall goes on to sue them, and then later on joins their company as a counsel and get paid big money for it. Also, the housing bubble. Yes, you remember the housing bubble in the early 2000s? Do you know that he worked for one of the I think it was called Ameriquest, talking about Duvall. Ameriquest, I think it was the loan company that all those subprime loans that were given out that caused many of our family members, many of the people in our community to lose their homes. Patrick Duvall was a part of that group. He's a corporatist. Again, just another, tail that's wagging the dog to try to attract your vote, my vote. And if you notice, he's coming back with that soul thing. We need to reconcile America before we start talking about reparations. Bullshit. Give us our reparations and we'll decide who we want to reconcile with. We don't need you to tell us who we need to befriend or not befriend. We're not begging you for something that's not rightfully ours. We're demanding from you guys what's rightfully ours, finally, as a collective group. And I hope some of you guys who are listening to this video who have not supported ADOS, that you would finally be convinced and change your heart, have a change of heart, and join your brothers and sisters who are only pushing to make things better for those of us in our community. The so-called African American community, the American descendants of slaves. We're hoping that you come with us because we're going to need all of us standing united. One group, one powerful, force to make sure they understand, not only now, but when they start having their conventions, that we show up and we make it crystal clear to them. No reparations, no vote. But back to this thing with Joe Biden, guys, don't buy into that lie. Obama put him on his ticket because he benefited Obama in terms of getting the Dixiecrats. In other words, Southern racists will be more than happy to support Obama when they knew that Joe Biden was there more or less guiding, his policies. And of course, if anything was to happen to Obama, then that guy would have been the guy, who would have been the president of the United States. So Obama made it safe for them to support him. But never at any point in time was Joe Biden the selection because he cared about people of us, black people, so-called. Joe Biden is not our friend, has never been our friend. He's a crook, he's a thief, he's a corporatist, he's a self-interest, narrow-minded idiot. Not much different than Donald Trump, come to think about it. But I wanted to say that to you so that you will be clear and understand what's going on in front of you. The best vote that you have right now is no vote. Trust me. I know everybody telling you all these people died for the vote and all of that. They died to vote that they have. The reason they died for us to have the vote so that we can bring about change. Not just so that we can just go and vote and say, see, I can vote now. Look at me. I'm just like a white guy. No, guys. They wanted us to be able to vote so we can have policies that benefited us. Other than that, they wouldn't have given a damn about the vote. The vote was to give us economic, resources, to be able to force them, to provide economic resources for us. Even the late Dr. Martin Luther King said he was going on the March on Washington. Remember that? Not the first one, the Poor People's Campaign. He even said that we were going to Washington to get our check. That's what Dr. King told you. That's what he told our parents anyway. That the Poor People's Campaign in 1968, right before they decided to blow his brains out, that they were going to Washington to get our check, the check that was owed to us. So we're not saying anything different. The children of those, the children of the 40s and the 50s, their children and our children now have come together for once. 2 generations have come together, and now we're one powerful generation if all of us stand together. And we can force the change that we want. But remember, the vote means nothing if they don't deliver the goods or the desires that we have. It's just tokenism. We don't want tokenism. We want agendas and laws passed that are going to keep our children safe. In other words, where a hostile police department cannot get away with shooting and killing them in the streets. That our school systems are pushing education around things that are important to our children, teaching our children things they really need to know around economics, their own history, self-sufficiency, entrepreneurship. And we can't have any of those things truly, guys, unless we have a tax base that's strong enough to force those changes. And the only way we're going to have the tax base, we've got to have the revenue, the resources, in essence, reparations. Because with reparations, we can buy homes. Homeowners pay taxes. With reparations, we can buy and open up businesses. And those taxes, again, come through reparations. And those things gives us, again, the power to bring about change. But without reparations, we don't have the resources to force America's hand to do what it should have done almost 150 years ago. And I say this to you, as one of your elders. Because your elders should be talking to you like this. Your elders shouldn't be sitting on the sideline, whistling Dixie. They should be right out here encouraging you guys, the young men, the young women, to go forward with this fight. And then doing whatever we can do to support that, including getting out on the front lines. Reparations, guys, will give us the economic power that we need to really bring true change to our communities. Without reparations, guys, it's going to be the same old thing all over again. You guys are familiar with the quote, right? The definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. If we keep showing up for the Democrats and voting for them, regardless of giving us the goods, giving us, legislation that will benefit us, reparations that will help us financially, finally get those boots with bootstraps. Finally, if we keep on doing things and allowing them to get away with doing nothing, then we're the very living definition of insanity. And guys, the time is now. I truly believe that Yahuah is judging this country, just as he judged Pharaoh in Egypt and put plagues on them and brought debt to their front doors. He's doing it now. But he's also calling on you, me, all of us to raise and lift our voices in unison and push hard for set my people free. Let my people go. And if you don't, he's going to destroy this nation. If we stand together for reparations, we can be the very salvation of this country. We've always been, quite frankly. But now the time is up. The time has come. So America has to do the right thing if it wants to continue to be America, but not the America of the past, but the America of the future. With our faces showing out front, bold and strong, financially, economically, intellectually, and most important, one under the power of Yahuah. So Joe Biden is not our friend, never has been our friend. He was not selected by Obama because he was our friend. It was all about politics, as it is still today. But you can bring about a change with your vote or not voting. It's up to them. And make sure they understand that. If they want to see a Democrat in office in 2020, then that Democrat better say clearly and have a plan to go along with what he states clearly, that he's going to bring forth policies and legislation to put money, rightful money, in your pockets, in our pockets, that have been past due, long past due. 400 years of toil, blood, sweat, debt, and you name it. Every kind of atrocity that a man can stand and have happened to them has happened to our people, even up to now. It's not just about, it wasn't just slavery, it was Jim Crow, guys. It was the vagrant laws. It was what is it? Can't even think of the other ones, right now. Black codes, that's what I wanted to say. Redlining, redistricting, zoning, you name it, they did it to us. And now either they do right by us, as Yahweh said, if they don't, then he's going to judge them. And let's not be in the way of Yahweh's plan for them if they won't obey Yahweh's voice. Love you. Talk to you later. Bye now.